Welcome back to the Peak Humans podcast. I have an awesome guest here today in this beautiful home. Adam Brawer is an authority on the Los Angeles residential real estate market. Having called Los Angeles home for over 2 decades, Adam's knowledge, meticulous attention to detail, and best-in-class client service allows him to offer an exceptional experience when buying or selling property. Combining his personal and professional network with a high-level entertainment background, Adam helps clients market their homes with a Hollywood flair, ensuring each property is uniquely positioned. Known to some as the spiritual realtor, Adam infuses various daily practices into his work, which help him connect deeper with clients and have led to an exceptional track record. Adam Brawer, welcome to the show.
Naeem, it's great to have you, or it's great to be here.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Great to have you on the show. It's great, and it's great to be in this beautiful listing you have. It's
Pretty nice. It's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm excited to film in this awesome environment.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, let's jump into it. You are known as a spiritual realtor.
This is true.
Yes, and so can you share with us what that means and how it influences your approach to real estate?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what it means in relation to this property.
Yeah.
So depending on the client's level of consciousness, I will bring my spiritual practices into play in order to properly set up a property for sale. So for instance, here, what we did is I decided, and I consulted with the owners, I suggested, why don't we set this sale up as a ceremony? And to start the ceremony, I'm going to lead a ritual. So what I did is I led us in a guided breathwork and meditation where we called in the most aligned buyer. Audibly called in, naming out exactly how this would unfold.
Yeah.
Talking to our spiritual guides, doing a lot of woo-woo stuff that I've done very successfully. And followed by a sound bath to integrate the energy. And on this beautiful property, the grounds are, you feel like you're in an enchanted botanical garden.
It does. It's incredible out there.
Yeah. That's how I set this up. We're actually testing this in the next hour. So this is literally you're the last person I'm speaking to before we list this beautiful property. And there are various other things that I do with clients, whether, I could go through a whole laundry list that I want to bore you, but I do gift sage to clients as a way to clear the energy in the home before sale. So I saged this home completely prior to staging it. And I actually trademarked the phrase from staged to sage.
Nice. I love that, man. I love that. Well, I love that you don't do it with all the clients, right? Obviously it has to align with the client.
Yeah, it has to align with the client.
But that would align with me. I love that. That's so cool. So I love that you bring that. I haven't heard of a realtor that does that. So I think that's a really unique edge and value proposition to bring.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love the intentionality behind it. I'm sure your clients do as well.
I think so.
Yeah. Speaking of the sage, I have Adam gifted me the sage as well. Really cool. I love the personalization and how unique it is. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. They must really
that QR code goes to the website, by the way.
Oh, does it? To Adam Brawer Estates.
Yeah. So it's basically a business card.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, and there's from staged to sage on the back. Nice. Very cool. And the website is adambrowerestates.com. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. Awesome. Nice. So the other thing I actually I usually go on tangents, but I also have a list of questions I want to make sure I run through with you. But I do like the idea that you make it like a ceremony as well. So that's really awesome. What do you mean by that for people that don't really understand what that is? How would you actually even define that?
Yeah. So every sale is a process. There's a journey. And so when you bring intention to the process and you ritualize it, you create ceremonial practices around it. So, for me, it was first connecting with the clients, making sure we're fully aligned on the outcome and on the energy of the person that we're bringing in to buy this property. And then a series of rituals that we did to alchemize that energy and to speak to the universe, as woo as that sounds.
Yeah.
And, creating that ceremony also seems to create some safety and a container
Yep.
around the clients. I often think about what I do as kind of like coaching in a sense, where real estate is the vehicle.
Yeah.
And the clients end up in a different place than when we began.
Yep.
And that's really fulfilling.
Yep. Absolutely. It is, man. Like,
yeah.
We'll talk more about the
coach to coach.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And we'll talk about more the selling too, right? Which I love talking to you about. But it's like it's a coaching process, right? You have to get them comfortable, like understand where they're at, and like really not just asking questions, but also like attuning to them, right? Their frequency, their energy, and being a good guide that way. So
totally,
it's awesome.
And that's really what it is. It's being a great guide, being a trusted advisor, and a guide. Because oftentimes, I mean, people, sometimes people want to be led. Everybody is a little bit different. So the approach is refined and bespoke.
Right.
It's tailored to each client.
Right.
But, guiding is thoroughly important because, they look at me as a trusted advisor.
Yeah.
And I often tell clients, if you allow me to do what I do best, we will win.
Yep. I love that. It's still the certainty and the confidence of the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it is such a, like, buying a home, having a kid, getting married. Those are like probably some of the most emotional decisions people go through in their life. So
yeah,
it is really a ceremony. You're a great guy for that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Nice. So next question I have for you, Adam, is I know one thing that you do that you attribute a lot to your success, we were speaking about earlier, and we talk a lot about as well, is just your habits and your rituals that help you perform at this level, right? You're working with this home is listed for multi-millions of dollars.
25 million.
Yep, 25 million. So you have a lot of clients that obviously are very successful and they don't tolerate mediocrity, so you have to perform at a high level. So you have rituals and habits and processes for yourself.
Absolutely.
To stay on top of your game. What are some of those? What does that look like for you?
So I have a morning routine. The first thing that I do in the morning is I look myself in the mirror. I give myself 4 high fives and I tell myself, you got this and I love you.
Nice. I love that.
Yes. So that's the first thing that I do.
Yeah.
I go on gratitude hikes where I speak to the universe about all of the people that I'm grateful for, who I'm grateful for. Breath work and meditation is absolutely essential to my flow in life and to my mental well-being.
Yeah.
And so I have a daily breathwork practice. I often lead friends, sometimes clients in breathwork.
Nice.
And guided meditation as well. And that allows me to manifest. Yeah.
Yep.
Cold showers, beds and nails. There are a lot of other things, but those are the main things.
Yeah. If you want more, you gotta listen to deeper in the episode or podcast number 2.
Yes.
But I love that. It's rare that you see professionals that are, again, like so busy, right? Especially in real estate or whatever business people are running their own business. A lot of times, most people are like, I don't have time to do it.
Totally.
But tell me why tell me why you need to do it. I'm curious.
So
why are you committed to doing it?
It's the bedrock and foundation for my life.
Yeah.
Everything is better as a result of setting the tone for the day, recalibrating my frequency, getting to a place where I know everything is possible. Helps me remove limiting belief, self-doubt, allows me to expand my mind, my consciousness. It also allows me to get to really enjoyable peak states. And those peak states transcend the practice and flow into all aspects of my life, my relationships, all my conversations. And I feel like they really magnetize me.
Yep. I love that. You're great at that.
Thank you.
In peak states.
Yeah, I love them.
And that's and that's what it's about. Again, I tell my clients too. It's like you want it, and peak state can be any. It doesn't really necessarily mean like a crazy. People think, oh, high energy. Well, peak state can also be just calm and relaxed.
Absolutely.
Or it can be loving, or it can be grateful, or it can be compassionate, whatever it might be. But I love that. You're great at doing that. And I think that is the name of the game, like being able to get into these states, whether that's close a deal, whether that's going to your friends and hanging out with them, whether that's seeing your family or your partner, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So I love that you are a proponent of that and you do the work to do that.
Thank you very much.
How does it help you when you are interacting with your clients?
It grounds me.
Yeah.
Every day is different. So I don't have, it's not like a 9 to 5 where every day is different. Different properties, different parts of town, entering the office at different times. And so oftentimes every day there are challenges.
Yep.
Could be a number of things. I'm always in escrows, there are always tricky situations. And oftentimes it's not the news, it's how you deliver the news. And guiding clients to resolve issues so that essentially, the news could be like, this deal is falling through.
Yeah.
The outcome of that news could either be catastrophic, severs a relationship with a client, house isn't selling, or it could be pivot. Okay, didn't work out this time. What are we doing differently next time?
Yeah.
Make some subtle tweaks to recalibrate this. And the way the message was received is a reflection of how the message is delivered.
Right.
So I am to package it well.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. And to deliver it, you need to be in that state.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if I'm receiving really challenging news and I'm like, my breathing is shallow and I'm stressed out and I've got ADD and the conversation will not go as well.
Yep. Yep. And that's when that's the real point of the breath work and the meditation, to use it in the game when it's like,
yes,
in real life, right?
Yeah. It's like we do what we do on the mat or on the cushion for the real world.
Yep. Exactly. I love that. Cool. All right. So next question, Adam, this is good. I don't usually have a list of questions. I usually have just like back and forth. So I'd say, so this is, I would love to learn more about this with you because you had a successful career before real estate, and I'll let you tell people what that was. And how was it, one, transitioning and then also becoming successful in real estate? Like, what was that process like? Because again, starting at the bottom of anything, you have to put in the work, build relationships, learn the industry, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I used to produce film. The beautiful thing about producing and being a realtor is the skill sets are almost synonymous. You're a salesperson in both senses, you're a guide in both senses, you're sometimes a therapist, marketing, et cetera, et cetera. In film, it's like, they call them like the suits and the creatives. So the suits are the executives, the financiers, et cetera. The creatives are the artists. The last straw for me, I had Amber Heard's next film after Aquaman, which we sold to Amazon, and it died a very fiery death during the Johnny Depp lawsuit.
Oh wow!
It was like the end of my film career, basically, where it was impossible to recast that movie in a very short amount of time. And so, as a producer, you're consistently dealing with ultra high risk. There's never a need for a movie to be made. It is not a necessity. Living in a home shelter is a necessity. And so when that movie fell apart, I decided I needed to make some big life changes. Because this kind of thing is very common in film. All this, when you're dealing with celebrities, any day they wake up, they can do whatever they want to do. Oftentimes it means deciding not to do your movie. So you're one phone call away from oblivion. As a producer, you're a serial entrepreneur. Each film is a new company, literally. As a realtor, you are also a serial entrepreneur. Each listing, each client is new business. And so when I was unsure of where I would go, I spoke to friends. One in New York, Jason Paulino, one in Miami, Harold Blake. Very close friends, both in real estate. Both told me to get my license. And
what was the reason why?
They were both like, you'd be really good at it.
Yeah.
We know you. We
Yeah.
know you very well, and
Yeah.
we know you'd be good at it.
Yeah.
So you should do it.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, real estate. Like I've always loved beautiful homes,
Yeah.
the finer things in life, you know. But I'm not. Like, I don't watch any of the real estate reality shows. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care. So reluctantly, I took the test, passed the test, and then I was like, okay, well now what do I do? And I happened to get some letters from some brokerages. The only one that was physically hand signed by a manager, I called.
Yep.
And he was this French guy, Mark Chorin, Realty in the Palisades, great guy. Tennis player, I played tennis. And he said, come in. So I came in, we talked for a while. This was actually like the day before I was set to take my test.
Yeah.
And he just showed me, he was just super kind. And he was like, listen, I think you'd be great. And so I passed the test the next day and I called him and he's like, great. Do you want to sign the contract? And I was like, what's the offer?
Yeah.
He made me a good offer. So I signed the contract.
Oh, nice.
And I just dove in. It was December 2019. I just dove in and I soaked up as much, he gave me 3 one-on-one mentoring sessions a week for 90 minutes each. And he took a real interest in me. I soaked up everything I could.
Yeah.
And learned as much as I could as quickly as possible. And I started setting open houses. There was another agent who took a liking to me and, he was like, listen, I'm going to share new buyer leads with you. We can co-represent buyers, which means I will introduce you to somebody and you'll do all the work and we'll split 50-50. And I was like, that sounds great. So I did that. COVID hit. For about 4 weeks, there was tremendous uncertainty.
Yeah.
And I was just, wow, my timing is horrific.
Yeah.
Then they dropped interest rates to nothing. Everybody bought homes. And in my first year, I was involved in 18 real estate sales.
Wow.
Which was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just very fortunate with timing. Had some great relationships from my days in film. And with friends who were, trusting and loyal.
Yep.
And I delivered all the time. And one thing led to the other. The snowball started growing and flying faster and faster down the hill. And I just ran all the way and didn't stop.
You grabbed your skis.
I grabbed my skis. Yeah. They say you throw yourself off a cliff and build a plane on the way down.
Yeah, you build yep.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I started to fly. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was the mindset? I'm curious. What was your mindset around that?
Every single day. So a close friend of mine, whose house I'm currently selling.
Oh, nice.
Nicole Boyar.
Oh yeah, Nicole.
You know Nicole. Yeah. She shortly before I took my test, she bought me Joe Dispenza's book, Supernatural.
Great book.
Great book.
Yeah.
She gifted me the guided meditations. And so every day I would just do breath work, sit in a space of meditation where I would guide myself through what I thought it would feel like to be an ultra successful realtor.
Yeah.
And I did that every day. I felt it deeply in my bones.
Yep.
And now I'm living it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. And now I'm sure you still use that process for the next level.
Absolutely.
Where you're going, right?
Except now I'm leading myself through the process.
Yep. Oh, cool.
So I'm guiding myself and guiding others.
Yeah.
Actually. I do it with clients as well.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Very cool. All right. So let's see. How'd you build your brand? You're really good at that, right? I love the sage.
Thank you.
I love your mantras and from stage to sage and things like that. So how did you build your brand? Because again, real estate coaching, doesn't matter what business it is, it's about building a brand. So
it's all about the brand.
Yeah.
I've always been, in film, my specialty was pitching. I teamed up with the writer who sold a lot of pitches to a lot of studios.
Yeah.
And so marketing and branding has always been, creating a brand awareness for my film company was a big thing. I work with a super incredibly talented designer for that. And so for this, initially I mean, it started out with Instagram, where I had a name that didn't really have any resonance in real estate. Someone was like, "You should just call yourself Adam Brawer Estates," and I was like, "You're right, I should."
Yeah.
So I did that, and then I was like, "Okay, what does a logo look like?" And so I just did some brainstorming, some searching online, da 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 da, and I was thinking like it would be really cool. Yeah, I've always loved infinity, and if you look at the infinity sign, they're the initials ALB.
Oh yeah.
So it's Adam
Oh, that's
Brawer.
so cool. I didn't. Yeah.
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 So I did that, and I hired a graphic designer to create that. There were some, there were like some other flourishes, blah, 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 but ultimately we settled on that.
Yep.
And then I've got some amazing marketing executives at Compass who I work very closely with.
Yep.
And we were thinking about what's authentic to me and the brand that I can gift to clients. And in terms of like ritual and ceremony, we figured, well, sage. And then I came up with the phrase from staged to saged. And just one thing, one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
day in, day out, day in, day out. And when it rings through, it strikes a chord.
Yep.
And each time that chord strikes, I'm like, that's it.
Yep. And keeping it simple too. It sounds like you don't like
No.
read into it too much or think about changing, do all of it one time, right? Just like simple little.
Totally. It's somebody told me when I first started, you learn in patches. So like there's too much to learn to know it all before you start doing.
Yeah.
You much like throwing yourself off a cliff and building an airplane, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like there's a new situation presents itself, you figure it out. So what I did is I situated myself around mentors and guides, people with lots of experience.
Yeah.
And so I'm still dealing with, there's so many intricacies to escrows and property sales and all kinds of things that it's almost like my dad's a lawyer and a friend of mine who's a lawyer was like, listen, just because you graduate law school doesn't mean you know the law. It means you know where to look to find the law. And so in real estate, you don't know everything until you need to know it.
Yeah. And
so I have a series of people when a situation arises, including my real estate coach, who I call. And it's like, between all of us, we've got like hundreds of years of experience.
Yeah.
It's the brain trust.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. There's a few things you said that are awesome. I love how you said learn in patches. I'll talk about that. You don't know everything until you just
So you need to.
Yeah, so you need to know it. That's great too.
Yeah.
Right. Because that a lot of times that prevents people from even taking the stuff because they want to know everything.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything.
They don't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many people like that. They're like, it's just stories.
Yep.
It's like, they never get out of the starting blocks. Like they're just fine tuning, but they're not doing anything.
Yep. Yeah. And I'm guilty of that too, right? But I love that. That's a great concept, right? And then the other thing, the brain trust, right? Like mentor. I always tell whenever I speak to audiences or coach my clients, or people ask me, and this I learned from Tony Robbins, like his thing that he's so good at so many things because he's a fucking master at modeling mentors, right?
Yes.
He wants to go learn how to ski, he'll go find like the 5 best ski instructors. He wants to learn how to like garden, he'll find the 5. And it's hard to do because you have to reach out to them, 2, you have to add value.
Yes.
3, you have to like keep going in the arena and like do the fucking work and like be around them, right? And the idea is they make you stretch. So it's like, oh, we gotta put an effort like day after day. So I think it says a lot about you that 1, you keep seeking them out, and 2, you put yourself in the arena to learn from them. Yeah, consistently. How do you go about doing that? And what how do you keep doing that? I'm curious.
So I have phenomenal real estate coach Dave Colwell.
Yeah.
Who used to be the head of growth for Douglas Elliman, and he, another mentor of mine is Aaron Kerman, who I'm listing this house with. He's my partner on this property.
Yep.
So Aaron introduced me to Dave, and Dave was Aaron's coach. So I said, okay, well, if it's good enough for Aaron, it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
So he's basically Dave is basically my Tony Robbins.
Nice. Yeah.
So he's one. I've got West, who's my sales manager at Compass.
Yep.
Who's got 30 plus years experience in real estate. I have a bunch of others. I won't name everybody, but another new mentor is Larry Kendall, who's the author of Ninja Selling. And I just came back from an incredible installation. And So anytime a new situation arises and I'm unsure, I make some calls. And sometimes the answers are a little bit different.
Yep.
And sometimes what I ultimately do is a subtle tweak on the advice that I get, because I know context and nuance
Yep.
that they're unaware of.
Yep. That's another great point, right? Ultimately, you do pull it from different sources, and then you still are the filter and like make the decision, right? So,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes a mentor will say like, oh, I would do this. And I say, well, sounds like a bad idea to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And that's the brain trust, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All these different sources.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Very
Exactly.
cool.
I mean, there are lawyers that I have more people, but like,
oh yeah,
my
for different areas.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And you also do it, I'm sure, with the things you learn in the spiritual world and work, right? And so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What you said you went to the ninja selling course.
I did.
Tell us about one. I love that you. Again, I always tell people this. You always got to invest. The best investment you can make is in yourself.
Yes.
So I love that you do that. So one, why do you keep investing in yourself? And then two, how was the course?
Great questions.
Yeah.
So, I realized, as you just said, like, greatest investment you can make is yourself. Speaking of which, I was invited to go on a really extravagant trip to Africa last year. I had a couple of reservations about doing it. I didn't say yes immediately.
Yep.
Ultimately decided to do it.
Yep.
Had a bunch of friends going. There was somebody I connected with. His name's Chad McWhinney, who I had known prior. A bunch of mutual friends. Very, very successful developer. He owns the Proper Hotel here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And he suggested that I read this book, Ninja Selling. I read the book. He's referenced multiple times in the book. So I called him. He said, "Oh, the author's my mentor." And I said, "Oh, that's so interesting." He said, "You should do this training." He said it changed my life.
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, I will do the training." And so flew out to Colorado. I think it was 5 days. Thoroughly informative, tons of information, many opportunities to ask questions, and it's a system and a process and a series of routines that you do daily and weekly.
Yep.
For some pretty massive results. And these routines don't take as much time as you would think, but much like water carving through rock, it's the daily repetition that makes a massive difference. And so, I'm a few weeks into integrating it and doing it, and I've seen some pretty fantastic results.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ordinary things done consistently lead to extraordinary results.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why is it so important to be good at sales, even if we're not in sales? Because we're all in sales, aren't we?
We all are in sales. I feel like people respond best when they feel like they're not being sold.
Yep.
And so I've been involved, like as a producer, you're a salesman. I've been involved in various kinds of sales for 20 years, more actually, even in college. And it's important you have to keep the lights on. So like you have to consistently be selling, you have to consistently be earning.
Yep.
But there are different ways to do that. And I like to make it my own. I mean, for me, sales, it's conversational. It's not like an extractive process. It's a collaborative process.
Yep.
And so I approach it in a different way. You can do real estate in many different ways. Some people do cold calling. Some people do door knocking. Some people send, postcards. Some people do whatever they're doing. For me, it's really about relationships. And it's about nurturing relationships and being top of mind.
Yeah.
And when that happens, ultimately, you get hired, and if you're good, you will sell. And I'm good, and I sell, and then more referrals. And it continues to flow that way. And that's, for me, it's the most enjoyable. And I love working with my friends. And I love hanging out in their houses.
Yeah.
So it's like win-win-win.
Yep. And you love getting friends new homes too.
And I love getting friends new homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw you just, now he's a friend of mine too. I met him the other day through you. Beautiful new home up here in Topanga as well. So
Brian Rubenstein.
yeah,
Is that
well,
what you're doing?
Misha.
Oh, Misha. Yeah, as well. Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
What's a belief you have about you selling and like building relations with people? Because some people they feel pushy or they feel like they're again like trying to sell people. They have like these negative feelings about it. But what do you believe about building relationships and selling people?
I feel like there's a need. I'm here to fill it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm not. I'm listening.
Yep.
A lot of it's listening, really.
Yep.
And you find out like, oh, does this, what's the need? Like, is this person moving, or are they relocating? Is there a new job situation? Like, is there a baby coming? Like, just listening.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you're familiar with human design.
Yeah.
My human design, I'm a projector.
Yep.
And the life strategy for projector it's called to wait for the invitation.
Yep.
So essentially, I put myself in a place to be recognized, then to be invited in, and then I feel into whether or not this is the right invitation for me.
Yeah. I like that strategy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better at that. I'm a manifesting generator.
We're on other sides of the spectrum.
Yeah. I just kind of like put myself in situations.
Yeah.
But I love that because I love it's like, how can you actually get people to like ask you to like sell them something, right?
Yeah.
That's like,
that's kind of it, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're really good at that knowing it. That's awesome. Yeah.
Thanks, dude.
Cool. All right, let me pull up my list of questions. I got a little tangent there with you. Let me ask you like a nice light question for a second. Well, not the Wizard of Heavy, but what's a book that you like to give to others, or just a book that you like?
I mean, the last book that I gifted to people is Ninja Salad.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Surrender Experiment.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I think it's such a great story, true story to share about faith.
Yep. What's one of the lessons that you pull from it or remember from it?
I mean, it's the ultimate trust fall.
Yeah.
Like it's somebody who's willing to stick by a principle, and regardless of what he thinks the result will be, he stays 100% firm to that principle.
Yeah.
And what happens in the end? He becomes a billionaire.
Yep. Yep.
Right before everything seemed to be lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where he could have pulled the plug and been great, but he stuck to his guns.
Yeah.
And now he's just fabulously wealthy and quite happy.
Is that Michael Singer? Yeah.
Michael Singer.
He's a billionaire. He's really wealthy.
WebMD, like I don't know what his exit was on that, but
he founded that, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. It's funny, Josephina told me that he's like really wealthy. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But that's cool to hear that data point too. Yeah. I love the book. And it goes back to what you said about just jumping off the cliff and letting your wings build on the way down. Yeah. And it's so wild. It's kind of like skiing or surfing. It's like you got to carve and like right at the edge before you're about to fly off the cliff or just get smacked off the wave. Yeah. You got to keep going, right? And then you move through it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great book. Cool. Let's see here. What's one of your favorite failures, Adam?
I mean, honestly, it was the film. The film failing was the reason that I'm in real estate. So it was a very painful death, but I feel like I've risen like a phoenix from the ashes, and I don't know if I would have gotten into real estate if that failure didn't happen. That was one of them. Another one that was a continuous failure. I had a film that Alan Ball wrote for us. Alan won the Oscar for American Beauty, created True Blood. Yeah, it's a true story of the Chippendales nightclub, and it's an incredible true story. And we had Ben Stiller and Seth Rogen and Dev Patel and a lot of amazing people, John Travolta at one time. And it's a much longer story, but that film died like 3 separate deaths. Like we actually, were ready to go, and we ended up, Harvey Weinstein made us an offer, and unfortunately we said yes. And then his whole entire company imploded. Yeah. And things like that. Scandal, yeah. Because it's a rapist. Not funny. Insane. Yeah, it wasn't funny. Yeah. Because of what we talked about earlier. Yeah.
But you're involved in some pretty intense Hollywood.
Me Too situations.
Situation,
I was involved in many Me Too
Yeah.
situations, not, it wasn't like propositioned, but I was in business with people who were
Yeah,
evidently rapists.
yeah,
And so, that movie, I had a lot invested financially, emotionally, so much invested.
Mm.
And it was incredibly heartbreaking that there are a couple sayings. One of them, to produce a film, you're shooting an arrow through 100 windows that need to remain open at the same time. So nearly impossible.
Yeah.
Two, what is two? Oh yeah, each film that dies like just before production is like a miscarriage.
Mm.
And so I felt like I had
Oh.
many miscarriages.
Yeah.
I had some babies,
Yeah.
but I had many more miscarriages than I had babies.
Yeah.
And that was a heavy burden.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, perhaps mothers will say, like, you can't even compare the two, and they might be right. But I will say, if you're working for a decade on something, a decade incubation period,
Yeah.
you're going to feel some pain if it
Yeah.
doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And I would say Chippendales. I mean, there were a
You
few
were
others.
for 10 years?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, I
You
was.
had more than 5 years. Wow.
Yeah, like a solid 10 years. Yeah,
Wow.
then we'd started a couple times. Like
Yep.
now we're talking about, but yeah,
Wow.
that was a big failure.
I do want to say, I like what you said before. It was a slip up, but you said after the Amber Heard thing, it was like a phoenix rising from the acid. It may have been.
Hey. Freudian slip.
Yep. All right, let's see. Here's a good one. So in the last 5 years, Adam, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Breathwork and meditation, by far.
Yep.
Gets me out of my mind, brings me into my body, and allows me to experience like the lightness of being, an elevated emotional state.
Nice. For people that haven't done breath work and they want to try it, what would you recommend to them to like ease into it and just get a good taste for it?
There's a teacher named Johan Erb.
Yeah.
Johan Nnurb.
Yep.
Check him out on Instagram.
Yeah. Johan's incredible. We'll put his link in the show notes.
Yeah, he's master teacher, and I would highly recommend people do some breath work with him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That would be my top.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, breath work is like incredible. I love it. It's definitely one of my top. Meditation for sure. Breath work too. It just kind of gets you. It's kind of I kind of combine it sometimes with my meditation. It's very meditative.
Absolutely.
So, I agree. Cool. Let's see. What's something that you believe the most, Adam, that people disagree with?
Interesting. I don't know if, I mean, certain people disagree with this, but miracles happen. I know this to be true.
Yeah.
And very excited about it. Makes life pretty magical place.
I like that. I was talking to a friend the other day. She was saying Einstein's question.
Yes, but the universe.
Yep.
Yeah, do we live in a friendly universe?
Yep.
And I think we do.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah.
And it's wild because, of course, unfriendly things seem to happen, which, again, you have to define what that means, but they do, right? Unfriendly things happen, but
Of course.
that's still where you get to create the story and manage the meaning of what is actually happening as well, right? Same with, I guess, when you transitioned out of film with the Amber Heard thing, could have been like, oh, this is the worst thing ever.
Right.
Or
it could have been the worst thing ever, or it could have been the best thing ever.
Yeah. Cool. How do you have a great lighthearted attitude. I really admire that about you. I love that quote, angels fly because they take themselves lightly.
Yeah.
Devils fall because of their gravity. So
beautiful.
I think that's a really cool quality you have, just being very lighthearted and playful about things. What do you attribute that to? Were you always that way, or did you cultivate that, or a little bit of both?
I feel like a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I also have a saying, ABC. not always be closing, always be celebrating.
Yeah, I heard you say that before.
Yeah, and I feel like when you're in a celebratory state, you become more magnetic.
Yeah,
More opportunities flow in. Everybody wants to be part of a party.
yeah,
So yeah, being celebratory, I attribute a good amount of my success to that. I bring champagne to my open houses, like great music. I mean, we're gonna have a sound bath here on Sunday to welcome people into the space.
yeah,
It's fun to have fun,
yep,
and I think people respond well to it. And
Yeah.
I personally enjoy it.
yep,
I would prefer to be having fun.
yep.
Yeah. So yeah, celebration is fabulous.
Yeah, I prefer to be having fun while I'm like flying off the cliff.
Yeah.
We might as well have fun.
I mean, have a sense of humor about it.
Yep, it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do you do? Because, well, it's funny actually. I remember seeing an interview with Tony Robbins on like CNN or MSNBC, and they're like, Tony, do you ever have bad days? And knowing Tony, like, he does, but he doesn't, because he laughed a little bit, but he's like, I do certain rituals and habits and routine every day where it doesn't really let me, I get into bad funks, but I do those things so it actually doesn't let me go into those states for very long.
Yeah, exactly.
So you do a great job too, I'm sure, doing that, yeah?
Yeah, I mean that's part of the reason I have all of these routines. It's
Yeah.
like, I mean, one of them is ritual blessings in my food.
Oh yeah,
So I know multiple times a day.
I've been there for those.
They're so much fun, you know? And so it's like, yeah, there are only smaller periods of time in between blessings, in between cold showers, in between breath work, in between
Yeah.
gratitude acts. When you're stacking those experiences, all of a sudden your baseline goes from here to like here.
Yep,
And you know, the bandwidth is a little bit shorter.
yep,
And it's a fun way to, you know, be sovereign
yeah,
and control your emotional state.
yep, absolutely. And then what do you do on a bad day or like if you get in a bad state? I'm curious.
Depends. Sometimes I go for a walk.
Yeah,
Sometimes I get a massage.
yep,
Sometimes I get a good workout, do a steam, jump in a cold plunge. The cold plunge is an absolute game changer.
yeah,
In the past, not very recently, I would go on strenuous runs, like anything to really bring my endorphins up.
yeah.
I have a copper bed of nails that I stand on in the mornings and do fire breathing.
Mm.
That'll get me into, you know, whatever you're doing, that'll take your mind off what's happening, because all of a sudden you've got like 300 fiercely spiky copper nails under your feet. Keeps you really, really present. Sometimes it's a surrender experiment.
Yeah,
Where I remember I got really bad news years ago. A director fell out of the film, and I just jumped on a paddleboard, paddled out pretty deep into the ocean in Malibu, laid face up back down on the surf on the paddleboard, and I just told the universe, I don't know what I'm doing. Help me. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I surrender. I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
Don't know what my next step is.
Yeah.
And just letting go.
Yeah.
Changed a lot. I don't know if I got any answers, but it felt way better.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes letting go and falling, trusting the universe again a little more.
Mm-hmm. Asking for help.
When you're fit. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you that right now.
Yeah.
A lot of, and I was never always that good, and I'm still honestly not that great at it. It's like asking for help from other people and like opening up to receive it.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
So it's a newer skill for me.
Mhm.
I had a pattern that started in early childhood, right when my parents got divorced, until, you know, for decades, until like somewhat recently, where I didn't feel comfortable asking for help because it was too vulnerable.
Yeah.
So instead of asking for help, I would just make decisions that weren't always the best decisions.
Yeah.
Now I ask for help
Mm.
and I make better decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
You go to your brain trust.
go to my brain trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you do?
Yeah.
Here's the situation.
Yeah. And then you still ultimately make your own decision.
And I still make my own decision.
Yeah.
100%.
But you get like that solid input.
Yeah. I mean, my dad is one of the people in the brain trust, and he's, you know, he's almost 80 years old. So it's like different, it's a different generation and a different level of consciousness. So like I'll get, you know, it'll be a whole spectrum of people who I ask depending on the situation.
Yeah.
You know, if it's a legal thing, sometimes I'll ask multiple lawyers and then I'll distill it and decide what the next best step is.
That's smart. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nice, man. So what would you say is a lesson that stuck with you throughout your life that has been a guiding light for you?
Service is really important.
Yeah.
It's really important to help people, especially
Yeah.
at your lowest moments. I remember at some of my lowest moments years ago,
Yeah.
I would give money away, or I would give clothes away, or I would volunteer.
Wow.
And the people I would meet volunteering at basically a shelter,
Yeah.
were much worse off than I was.
Yeah.
And it felt great to be able to help them.
Yeah.
And I felt much better about myself afterwards and just about life in general. It felt good to give back. And I feel like that's an important part of life, an important part of abundance, an
Yep.
important part of gratitude.
Yep.
And it's something that I don't do as much as I would like to. I was doing that once a week before COVID, that stopped. I've been giving back more since, but yeah, I think service is extremely important,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a service-based industry as
Yeah.
well, like including and aside from.
Yep. I agree. So true. And I love how you said, like, in those low moments, it's especially important to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Because
Yeah.
it's almost like you're having a conversation energetically with the universe.
Yeah.
Like, listen, sure, things are tough right now, but I'm doing my part to make other people's lives better.
Yep. It's so true.
Yeah.
I remember it's like when you do that, like giving, it doesn't have to be giving money, giving your money, giving your time, giving your energy. Again, especially in those low moments, trains your brain too that there is still more than enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like that act of giving inevitably leads to you receiving.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily giving to receive.
Yeah.
That's not the intention, but it is a byproduct.
Yep. Absolutely. So for people to learn more about you, contact you, they can go to adambrowerestates.com.
Yep, adambrowerestates.com. Adam Brawer, BRAWER on Instagram.
Yep. Or you post some epic. I love how you do your Instagram with your homes. It's very fun and
It's super
fun. Yeah.
Always be celebrating.
Yeah.
Yeah, great fun home tours.
If you want to buy a $20 million home in Los Angeles,
I got you.
Yeah.
Also, you're looking to buy a $2 million home.
Yeah, you also have
I got you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And my YouTube channel as well.
Oh yeah, cool. You have YouTube as well, right?
Adam Brawer Estates LA.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then what is your departing message to the audience?
Believe in yourself and work towards your dreams. Yeah.
That's it right there.
It's been a pleasure, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Naeem.
Absolutely.
See you next time.